about these outages. San Diego State Mechanical Engineering Professor Joaquin Camacho. Joaquin, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the active, this weather conditions, the active power lines. We've seen over the years, a lot of times they research and say, well, it was that started the fires. What is it about it that does that?
It's an ignition source.
Sure.
You know, you need high energy. This high voltage can create a spark, which is what the fire needs to get going. And,
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, simple as that. Well, the fuel itself is dry at that time. That it increases the effect.
So that could happen because you sometimes you're walking by one of these things, you hear a pop, a spark, and those sparks are usually harmless. But if it happens to be in the right conditions with dry brush and winds, that's where the problem begins.
Yeah, that's where the problem
Okay.
is. Yeah.
Does the turning off of these power grids actually work? Is there evidence to show that it does?
If there's no way to 100% guarantee there's not going to be a fire starting, but it is a very drastic measure to reduce it a lot. And the reason is because you reduce the risk of these thousands of lines of power lines with like this simple spark coming off of it.
Sure.
How common are these simple sparks? Is this something that would normally happen, or does the wind actually kick up the chances of this happening?
The wind knocks down the pole. That's one thing that could cause this spark.
Yeah, it's the knocking down, the
yeah.
actual knocking down.
Yeah, that's one reason that this pole, the wind and the pole, the wind can cause the fire
Okay.
due to the pole falling over. But, and then if a spark does happen, maybe the wind can carry it to some fuel source as well. So there's a lot of combination of bad
Is that
scenarios.
likely to happen?
There's about maybe last year that's what did happen to PG&E in terms of this campfire and the Paradise Fire. So if it does happen, it can be the deal breaker in terms of these big traumatic events.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if the power companies have any other options other than to completely turn off the power to hundreds of thousands of people. But it seems to me after all these years and everything we've learned, this is what they've determined needs to happen. So there's no other options other than let's just turn it off.
Well, it's where the situation we found ourselves in at the moment after a long time of not
Sure.
solving a long-term problem. And so where we are now is that the most effective way to turn off or to prevent these fires is to completely shut off for safety. Wow.
I don't think anybody obviously wants a large fire burning in their neighborhood. Having said that, when power has gone off for any sort of reason, we know it's also an inconvenience to a lot of people as well who rely on that. You don't think about it. Refrigerators go off, food goes off, schools, there's a ripple effect. Is this really the real new for California? Do we need to get used to this? Do we need to have a better plan in place, just as we prepare for earthquakes, that we need to now prepare for power outages, planned?
Yeah, it is unfortunately in the short to medium term the reality, because I think the utilities are not trying to pretend like this is going to be a quick fix, because the hardening of the grid and all these other measures that they are doing it's not going to be a short-term solution. So within the next 5 to 10 years, unfortunately, I think we're going to see this more often.
And I know a couple of weeks ago when all the folks in Northern California, I think it was 800,000 people had their power shut off. They said get generators, and nobody really thought it was going to happen or affect them. Second time around when it happened this week, there was a run on generators. Everybody was getting one. Joaquin Camacho with San Diego State, we thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right.
All right, still ahead on Fox 5.